All right, so we're going to look at the 12-12 practice. So given that this is on a not live lesson day, and I've kind of gone a few slightly different directions that I think that most of you will know how to do. If you run into something that you didn't quite understand until I explain it right now, then certainly pause, fix your work before I go over the answer. Okay. All right, so the first one here, you should not, I would think, need any help on this. Um, so use the coordinate plane with the shapes to answer the questions. What shape is it? -4, +3. So x before y, right? So x, comma, y in that order. Okay. So we're going to go -4 means going this way, right? And then on the second one's the vertical number line. So we're going +3. That gets us into the triangle. Okay. Um, sorry, the annotate on Zoom is pretty terrible. What is an order pair inside the parallelogram? So here's the parallelogram. So this one will be a good one right here. So that's +2 for x, and then y. So there's +2, then -3. All right. All right. Next one, I gave you kind of a funny question here. Not funny, haha, but like different. The y value at the top of the red oval. So that would be here. So the y value of the top of the red oval is -2. I didn't say anything about the x, just the y. All right. What integer values on the x-axis go through the blue trapezoid? Meaning, what lines on the x-axis are going to go through that shape? All right. So let's look at that. So we got this one. Oops. And just barely, but this one. All right. So those two are x is -2 and x is -3. So this will be -2 and -3. All right. So that's number one. All right. Next one. All right. Graph the data on the coordinate plane here. All right. So we got some points here. We got ribbon 1, bows 2. So notice I put here, it's like this, right? 1, 2. Ribbon, bows. Okay, so 1, 2. We got 2, 4, right? We got 3, 6. And we got 4, 8. Okay, so that's the points we have on here. So the point 1, 2 on this question means if 1 yard of ribbon was used, right, then 2 bows would be made. All right, so this is just about reading the graph. 2 bows will be made, right, with 1 yard of ribbon. Okay. All right, next one. 3, 6 means that 3 yards of ribbon would be used to make 6 bows. Okay, so 3 yards of ribbon for 6 bows. It's going to be like this. 3 yards of ribbon for 6 bows. Okay, now D. This is not something that's impossible for us to do. It's just the first time we've seen one just like that this year. If 12 yards of ribbon were used, then blank bows would be made. Okay, so let's think about our ratios here. All right. So in this question, we have bows to ribbon, right? We got bows over ribbon. And it's fine if you put the whole thing upside down, ribbon over bows, as long as you're consistent. Okay. So our ratio of bows to ribbon is 2 bows for every 1 yard of ribbon, right? That's this point right here. 1 ribbon R, 2 bows B. Okay. So here I said if we use 12 yards of ribbon, so that 12 would go right here, right? So then that's times 12. 1 times 12 is 12. And then the same thing you do on the bottom, you do on the top. 2 times 12 is 24. And with that, using those ratios, you can find all kinds of other amounts. Okay, so this is kind of the other step on our ratio unit that we didn't do earlier. Okay, all right, but you can be sure we'll be doing more of going forward. All right, and then the last question, Jackson uses his phone primarily to take a lot of selfies. He needs to keep track of how many selfies he takes. So this shows a proportional relationship. That just means the ratios are all the same. Between the number of selfies Jackson takes, X, and the amount of storage, megabytes, he uses, Y. You see the Y is megabytes, X is selfies, okay? So on this graph, the point 2, 3, what does it mean? Well, for every 2 selfies he takes, he uses 3 megabytes. These are kind of questions they like to do a lot on standardized tests. So if he took 4 selfies, you can actually find this one on the chart right here. He would use 6 megabytes. But 2, if you think about it, that's twice as many selfies, so times 2. So then you do times 2 of megabytes. Okay, now, from what I just said there, that's important because if he took 10 selfies, he would use blank megabytes. So that would be times 5 times 5, so that would be 15. All right, if you're like, how the heck did you get that? Okay, watch. So we got, let's put, I'm putting megabytes over selfies here. If you didn't do that, that's fine. Normally, you're going to put the Y over the X, even though it goes X comma Y. You'll see that a lot in future years. Okay, so 3 megabytes for 2 selfies. And then we got 15 megabytes for, we don't know how many selfies. Okay, so that's times 5. And that's times 5. You could also put this in one of those table things, whatever. I'm just showing you how the work is basically done there. All right. Oh, sorry, should have put the 10 selfies and then the 15 megabytes, but you see the idea. All right, if he used 18 megabytes, he took blank selfies. So you got to make sure you're careful with the order of the ratio here. Okay, so here it's not times 5, certainly. So the ratio of 3 to 2, yeah. All right, but here we got 18 megabytes right here. Now, megabytes, so from 3 to 18, it's 3 times 6 is 18. Do the same on the bottom. So that would be 12 selfies. Okay. You just had to be careful that you didn't end up with something different there. Like if you got times 9, you might have got 27. Well, that's wrong because that's the incorrect order of the ratios. Okay. And then kind of sneaky one that you've probably not seen before. See if this makes sense to you. So the origin, which is the 0, 0 point, right? The one right here. Okay. What does that point mean? Well, X is selfies, Y is megabytes. So he took 0 selfies. So he used 0 megabytes. Not really that hard, right? If that's all that means. All right. So get those turned in. And then certainly if you got any questions about what I did, maybe come to a target time. I was just kind of wanting to extend this just a little bit. And extend our learning a bit here, and maybe a little bit of a challenge. So yeah, make sure you get the work turned in, even if you had to use this to get it right.